Here comes the boom, America. JP Morgan, Citibank, and Wells Fargo are all preparing for a crash. They are all stockpiling cash, just like Warren Buffett. This economy is about to see depression time era. People are going to the gas station, and instead of throwing a 20 on the counter and saying, I feel, give me 20 bucks worth, now it's $10. How do I know this? I worked in gas stations.
Okay, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase is sounding the alarms about the market crash that may be impending, thanks to the Trump administration. So what happened? I think it was last week, I'm not sure. Banks who are listed on the stock market, their stocks crashed. It's specific banks that ended up absorbing hundreds of millions of dollars in losses because at least two very large companies went bankrupt very recently, thanks to the Trump administration's policies with tariffs and you name it. And as soon as it was announced that the banks had to absorb these losses, the stocks of these banks tanked. Now, JP Morgan Chase called this a cockroach situation. What he means is when you see one cockroach, there's probably a whole lot more you can't see. And what he's referring to is how many companies, the ones that are laying off, the ones that are downsizing because of all of Trump's policies, could very well be on the verge of bankruptcy. And they've got these open lines of credits with their banks. And it's going to be the banks that end up absorbing an amount of debt that they may not be able to survive. So he's sounding the alarms. So there you go.
It's a matter of how bad. It's not bad. Trump is going to become Herbert Hoover for sure. For sure.
Hoover's name is associated with poverty and misery in the United States.
That's exactly right. And it's because it was a global depression as well. It wasn't only in the United States. When Trump signed the MOU, he said, our oil is going to run out in 4 weeks, and I don't want to become Herbert Hoover. Well, Trump signed the MOU, and the oil did not open. But those oil inventories, Richard, are running down on the same rate as before. Nobody really knows how bad it's going to get, but everybody knows that it's a matter of how bad. It's not bad. So as those oil inventories run down, as Hormuz remains closed, all of our buffers, our spare gas, that's gone, Richard. So what's happening is the world's economy really is getting closer and closer to going off a cliff.
And on other news is that you have Jamie Dimon. He is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. He's essentially saying that the US dollar could eventually lose its position as the world's dominant reserve currency if the United States economic as well as institutional and military strength deteriorates. Well, we've seen that come to question because of this war that's been taking place since the end of February with Iran. And it's affected the petrodollar, which is essentially the U.S. currency that oil is exchanged at. When it comes to GCC countries, well, you had UAE earlier on this year leave OPEC after 50 years, which also affects the control of the petrodollar. And we know that the latest developments is that Iran has been selling its oil into China in yuan, in Chinese currency. So now when it comes to the dollar, it has remained the leading global reserve currency. This is the US dollar. And the status lowers U.S. borrowing costs and supports financial influence. Now, the CEO of JP Morgan and Chase links currency leadership to economic and military credibility, saying that excessive debt and political instability could accelerate the diversification away from the US dollar. Now showing that there's no immediate replacement currently matches the depth of the US capital markets. But this is significant because when you have central banks that hold dollars, because the United States has a large liquid financial markets and a long history of institutional stability. But now countries nevertheless increase their use of gold and alternative currencies that's taking place, and also right now significantly because of this conflict. So now the dollar is unlikely to lose its position overnight. Of course, it's been the leading currency that trade has taken place on, but the greater risk is the gradual erosion as governments diversify away from what is now increasingly an unpredictable United States and now affecting its currency.
Just another day in the traveling restaurant. This is your Home on Wheels.